Hi everyone.
Hi. We didn't even do a countdown.
Oh my gosh, completely forgot the countdown. Listen.
We just out here just
We out here just vibing.
vibing. Oh my God, I love it so much. Is
Today
that
has gone to plan zero.
Oh
Nothing has
my
worked.
God. Do you hear that?
I do. What is that?
It's like the apocalypse right now. Like anything that could potentially go wrong is going wrong.
What
I'm
is
just
that? Is
so
that your dog?
yes. It's just like they decided that this is the time. They've been quiet this whole time, but this is the time that they're gonna play and
It
bark.
honestly wouldn't be a podcast if your dogs were doing something, but that low rumbling took me out.
Like so embarrassing. Anyways,
It's like
welcome
no training.
everybody. No training, like just straight embarrassing me on the podcast. No shame at
Hey,
all.
Deja.
Hey y'all.
Okay, so welcome to BBC Talks TV.
Yes, welcome. This is like our first official episode. It's very
This is the
exciting.
inaugural episode. So, for those who don't know, we are Black Prose Club. We are known for our book choices and our voices.
Yes.
Our main mission here is uplifting Black voices at all times in all spaces. But we also clearly like to have a lot of fun.
Yes, we do.
And so we decided that we're adding a new aspect to our stuff where
Hmm.
we'll be talking about different TV shows, just trying to give ourselves some variety.
Yes.
And we chose The Courtship as our first show to talk about.
And I'm so excited because I feel like it's kind of riding the Bridgerton wave. I mean, not everyone has been like obsessed with Regency times. Like some of us, if you're a great reader of Jane Austen or any of those other types of works, or even if you like watching those types of miniseries or movies, then you were probably already on the train before Bridgerton, but it's definitely riding that Bridgerton wave, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I never even watched Bridgerton, but obviously I read Jane Austen.
I think
And
we did a whole podcast about Bridgerton, didn't we? Wasn't it like it was a, gosh, wasn't it on, it was a Patreon podcast and we were going in, like Troy and
we
I were
were
going in.
I might be willing to like watch I might be willing to watch season 2 just to drag it with that much fervor.
Well, the trailer just dropped, but before we get too off course, um, so we decided to talk about the courtship, and this first episode is called First Impressions.
Mm,
And before we dive in, I just want to introduce us. You already did a pretty good introduction, but I'm one of
thank
your
you.
hosts, Oshale of Oshi Reads.
And I'm Brittany from Melanin Eclectic.
And this is the opening episode where we get to meet our cast of characters, so to speak. And what we're going to do is we're just going to go through what happened and give our thoughts and opinions on everything. So we open up with, I think I wrote it down because I took copious notes, but basically we open up with a carriage pulling up to this, and this is what I said in my notes, palatial ass, Pemberley ass looking estate.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's a great way to describe it because when I saw it, I was just like, so I mean, we saw the description, we saw the trailer,
Yes.
but for some reason it didn't click in my head that they were actually going to be like in like this Downton Abbey manor type
Yes.
thing. And I was like, "Oh, do we need all these rooms?"
It was intense. I was like, oh my goodness. And it's not just the estate, which the host of the show, his name is Mr. Edwards, he describes it as a castle, which is
Yes.
very appropriate. But it's like the grounds are huge and there's a freaking lake.
Yep.
And it's straight out of a Jane Austen novel. Truly it is.
It's huge.
And sorry, Brittany, you're going to say?
Oh no, I said it's just huge.
Absolutely huge. And then we have We're introduced to our heroine, and her name is Nicole Remy, but everybody goes by, they're being very Regency appropriate with everyone going by their formal title. So she's called Miss Remy this entire episode.
Which I love.
And we're quickly told that she's 26. She's a software engineer in Seattle, and apparently she graduated from the University of Southern California, which once I read that, everything just made sense.
Oh, we got stuff to talk about, I see.
I was like, okay, she's a Southern California girl, or at least she was while she was in school. This makes so much sense. But, it opens up with her, and it's kind of like the interview. We go back and forth between her entrance and like her interview where she's like sitting down talking. And she talks about how she's only experienced unrequited love. Let's talk about the outfits. So she's wearing this yellow dress with these flower appliques everywhere, and there are flowers in her hair and this little hat. Actually, I don't think she was wearing a hat. I think there were just flowers in her hair, and you see her in the carriage. And the first time I watched it, I was like, okay, this is pretty. And then the second time I watched it, I was like, seems a little on the gaudy side.
It wasn't doing it for me. I think the best way I can put it is like, there's so many period fashion. There's so many period dramas on TV.
Yes.
Nowadays that are specifically in that era.
Yes.
So it's not like they didn't have places to gain inspiration from.
Right.
And so I was just genuinely confused on why they chose that style as the first thing to bring out, because I feel like if this is the beginning episode and we're supposed to believe that this is like this is where we really are, this Regency era type thing,
right?
Why that one? And not to mention, she has beautiful skin.
She does.
So you really could throw her in anything color wise, but that pale yellow was not working for me.
It was interesting because it was like the color, and then clearly they had modernized it a la Bridgerton because it had this plunging neckline, like plunging.
Yeah.
And like I said, the first time I watched it, I was like, okay, pretty. And I think it's just because Nicole is really pretty. Like she's very beautiful. Like her hair is well arranged. Like her makeup is on point. Like Brittany said, she has beautiful glowing skin. Like she's just a beautiful girl. So she's definitely not overpowered by the dress. Like her beauty shines through. It's not like the dress dims her light or anything. But then on the second watch, I was just like, I don't know how I feel about this. It feels a little gaudy. But that's the first thing we see her in. And then she pulls up to the grounds, and there are two footmen outside, and they open the carriage, and she gets out. And then we're quickly introduced to, after that, her court, I guess they pull up right away. Her dad pulls up, and she's like, Daddy. And he's like,
also,
Nicole.
like, can we talk about Daddy with the cane?
Yes, comes in, okay, like stylish, like
he was like, I've been waiting my whole life for a reason
this
to
moment.
use a cane.
Also, can we talk about how much her family is a good sport for being a part of this and dressing up and doing it all, because her mom and dad are there, her sister is there, they're all dressed.
Mom looks like she was actually born in this era. Like the way that she got out the car, everything. It was like she basically was like, I live here. This is my home.
Yes, her mom is very regal, and she's wearing this floral. Everyone's in floral. All the women are in floral. And she's kind of wearing this white outfit, has red flowers everywhere. They kind of look like poppies. And she has a little white hat with red and white flowers. She's wearing like a pearl necklace and earrings, like very, very regal.
Yeah, it's very clear who the lady of the house is.
Very clear. And then her sister and her best friend are both in pink. I believe the best friend's pink is like a very pale, muted pink. And then the sister's pink is like very bright, but both like very florally. There's a lot of florals in this introduction.
Yeah, there was a lot of florals in the introduction.
But essentially, we meet Mr. Edwards, and he kind of introduces the show and like says why they're all there. And then the show starts, and they go inside.
I feel like from like, okay, so the introduction, But once we got the introduction, it was like the episode flew by.
It flew by because I remember they all show up. We're all introduced to her court. Mr. Edwards shows up and he's wearing, I remember his outfit because I really didn't like it. It's like this brown tweed suit
I think
with
it's because they
brown
wanted him to look like
shoes.
the help and not like I don't know.
It wasn't my cup of tea.
Yeah, I was like, the fashion's missing for me right now. I'm not getting it.
I was like, why do they have you? But he's very British, very proper, very host-like, and takes them all inside. And is that when he presents the letters?
Yes, that's when because he gives her the letters, and then he's like, your court will be arriving soon. And so to be honest, the letter part was my favorite part.
Really?
Of the whole episode.
So he presents her with 16 letters from her 16 suitors and says the ball will be commencing soon, where she's going to meet all of her suitors. And so there's this scene where her surrounded by her court, which of course her family and her best friend are reading through these letters. And I think the first letter that she really paid attention to was the funny one.
The one about both being fat and rubbing each other's bellies.
Yes. And needing Tums.
Best letter ever.
I was like, oh, I like him.
I was like, I don't even know who wrote this letter, but I am this is the type of energy that I need. And like, you hand wrote that.
Yes.
That's that energy that I need in my life.
They were all these like handwritten, calligraphied letters, which I thought was a nice touch. And then they had like a scene of her mom reading kind of an embarrassing one. Ooh, poor guy. He was talking about like sexual tension or something weird
with somebody you've never even met.
It was so weird. It was very weird. And it was kind of funny that her mom got stuck reading that one.
Also the cologne on the letter.
Oh,
remember when he was like, find me by the smell? I was like, okay, is this how they spit game back in the day?
That is exactly how they did it. And then with the women, you would like put a lock of your hair in the letter with like ribbon around it.
I mean, I'm not putting hair, but like the cologne part was a really nice touch.
That is
I don't know. Touch. I was like, that's cool. But then you'd have to go around and start smelling people. So is that okay?
Yeah, might be crossing some personal boundaries there. I don't know about that part. But what were your first impressions of Nicole?
You took the question right out of my mouth.
Oh my God.
She comes off a little ditzy.
Yes.
I was trying to think of a nice way to put it, but
there is no. We talked about this, Brittany. I was watching it and I just wasn't warming to her and I couldn't put my finger on it. And that's exactly what it was. She was coming off kind of ditzy, kind of space cadet, but we know she's incredibly intelligent. This woman is a software engineer.
Yeah.
Like we know she's not dumb.
Something about her wasn't really, it's like, okay, like I know that these shows are crap. So she has to put on a show for us basically, but
right.
Something about her felt flat.
You know what it was? It came off very disingenuous.
Yeah.
When I watched it the first time. And then when I watched it the second time,
it came off nervous.
It came off nervous, and keeping in mind that she's a Southern California girl, which just made things make a lot of sense because they're very bubbly, they're very smiley there, lots of giggling, and just generally very upbeat type personalities. Of course, this is a stereotype, but they're also very much like this. And so it made sense. And I was like, okay, this makes sense. Her overall attitude. And I realized that there was never a moment where she wasn't smiling.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to skip ahead to the end, but even when she was eliminating the first group of guys, she was smiling through it all. And it's like that nervous smile, but it's also like that weird default like defense mechanism thing where you just smile through everything and just hope that will get you through life. I don't know if I'm making sense, but
no, I think you make perfect sense. Cause like I said, the first time that I watched it, I felt a way about her, but then I realized like this woman is put in a room with 16 strangers where one of them could potentially be the one that she spends the rest of her life with. That's the premise.
Right.
Of the story. And she keeps making references to the fact that this is Jane Austen's type of love. And so like she's clearly like in it.
And she's built it up for herself.
Yeah, so that's
And
gotta be super nerve-wracking.
she's
So it's
very
like I started
invested.
giving her slack when I watched it the second time, it's like I retract my statements.
Also, on a more logistical side, she is a Black woman carrying an entire show on her back, where this is the first ever episode, first ever season. Like, if they ever do this show again, they're going to go off of the blueprint that she set.
And
So
we all
that's
know
got to
how
be
they
a
treat
lot of
Black women on
pressure.
dating shows.
That's got to be a lot of pressure to be the lead of a show where this is the very first time they're doing the show and it's all on you. So I feel like the dual pressure of that and the pressure, like you said, Brittany, of, oh, I'm going to meet my husband. You know, that's a lot of pressure.
Yeah. Oh, somebody brought this up. And didn't she say she was a professional cheerleader before? That kind of public person's attitude might also play into it.
Yes, I didn't know that. I did not know she was a cheerleader, but that would make
I don't
it make
know, but if she
more
was,
sense.
that makes total sense because she does have a cheerleader smile.
She does.
Because even on the awkward parts, that corny doctor,
yes,
her
okay,
facial expressions were sending
you're skipping ahead. You're skipping ahead.
Sorry,
Okay,
I just needed to say that. I'm like,
okay. So let's roll it back. So
let's
she
back
meets the
up.
men, and well, before she meets the men, she reads their letters, and they feature a couple of them, and they do like a little montage of the guy that
I
wrote the
actually
letter.
love that.
And so we get to pre-meet some of the guys. Like we meet Mr. Safa, who's a personal trainer, and he's kind of got the like Norse god looking type prototype. That's literally what I wrote in my notes. I was like, okay, long blonde hair coming out of water with no shirt and all these muscles.
I literally wrote typical trainer, probably F-boy behavior. That's literally
You know it. I love how our descriptions are different. Like mine are like, oh, godlike. And you're like, fuck boy. Okay.
You can tell who watches these shows and who doesn't.
Clearly, I have drank the Kool-Aid, okay?
I was like, when he came out the water, I was like, I would have pushed him back in. No, nope. Oh, I'm a personal trainer for the models.
He did say he was a personal trainer for models, which sounded so douchey. I was like,
that was I literally wrote, like, in my notes right here, it says, trainer for the models. Go back to the models. Nope. Red flags.
Red flags. Oh my God. And then we also meet Mr. Lux, who right off the bat, the fact that his last name is Lux gave me a bad taste in my mouth. I was like,
wait, which one's Mr. Lux?
He's the one with the curly top that has blonde in it.
The one with the frohawk.
Yes, that has blonde in it. I'm sorry, I cannot get over it.
What is your aversion to the blonde?
Well, it's just like the fact that a man like took the time to coif his hair so specifically. It's not for me. Like I would be.
If when his hair was shorter, he went blonde.
Okay.
And let it grow out and just kept the tips. What if he did it like that?
That's totally fair and, very logical of you to point out.
I'm trying to give him some slack.
I'm just going off of my gut reaction. I was like, he would have been eliminated.
In my notes, I didn't really write anything for him, except for the fact that he said his music comes directly from heartbreak.
Yes. I was like, red flag.
Is that the sexy line that you think it is?
It's not. And it sounds really sad. And it also sounds like you're planning on breaking someone's heart on the show so that you can have more material.
More inspiration for your music? I was like, oh, that doesn't. Okay, that's weird. Okay, cool.
And then the third guy, even though I liked him, his what he said about his bio took me out because it was Mr. Ward, another light-skinned man with curly hair. And he said he was a bunch of things, but what stood out was him saying he was a content creator.
It's the fact that he said content creator and I'm looking for someone to carry on my name.
Yes, he did.
I was like, do you have a podcast?
Are you part of the manosphere?
I was like, he got a podcast. He got a podcast. I must search for it.
You're absolutely right. I completely missed that. And I think it's because I was so taken aback and horrified that I just completely wiped it from my brain. I was like, no,
because,
that didn't happen.
clearly he's got other things. He's got degrees.
Yes.
He played what, baseball.
Yes, he graduated from
He's not
HBCU.
an ugly guy, but it's something about the way that he chose to phrase his sentences that just made me feel like he's on a podcast telling women who have good jobs that they are no longer of good value.
I'm sorry. Okay, we got to move on because that's going to become a whole tangent. So so we move on to, after the letter reading, we move on to the men's entrances. And once again, we see the host, Mr. Edwards, and he's standing in front of the palatial ass, Pemberley ass looking estate. I'm going to keep saying that because I really like it.
How we will refer to it from here on out.
And the men start to arrive. And the first man that arrives, he arrives on horseback. And I remember this because it's Mr. Echevarria. And I just remember I really liked him. He's
Echevarria.
Oh, is that how you say it?
Because he corrected him too, and I loved when he corrected him. I don't know why, but the way that he corrected him was really, I was like, oh, the accent's really pretty. Okay.
Yes, he was just tall. He was like definitely the tall, dark, handsome, Hispanic man.
We were reading a Jane Austen novel, and they said tall, dark, and handsome, that's what would have shown up, because we know that she didn't mean nothing about Black people when she said that.
No, she did not.
So that's what I saw. I was like, oh.
I know. I really liked him too. Right out the gate, he just seemed genuine. He did say that he wears his heart on his sleeve and he believes in everlasting love, which to me, that was a red flag in the sense of like, you're on a dating show on TV with 15 other men to meet a girl you've never seen before. You don't even know who she is. But that's your sentence. I'm concerned. I knew it was almost like foreshadowing, which we'll talk about a little bit later. And he says he's a romantic. And so I liked him, but at the same time, it was a red flag, not in the sense of like him being a red flag, but a red flag of like, uh-oh.
I also thought he was just really sweet.
But that's what I mean. Like, uh-oh, he's so vulnerable already, and like the show hasn't started. Like, sir.
That was my thing. It was just like, oh no, baby, what is you doing?
Yes, like, sir.
Because like I get it, but at the same time, like, let's not throw everything on the table at once.
No, let's not. And then the next two guys that come in a carriage, and it's Mr. Shanklin, who, dear God above, tries to sing.
Listen. I need us to normalize telling our friends and loved ones that they can't fucking sing.
They cannot. I was just like,
it was so bad. And then I'm like, I know you're nervous, but maybe because you're nervous, maybe you shouldn't volunteer to sing.
Whoo, it was bad. And it was so funny because the host, Mr. Edwards, was like, what?
I remember that's what he said. He was like, I wish I could see her right now.
The second his warbly little Kermit the Frog ass looking tone came out, I blacked out. I was just like, this can't be happening. And it seems like the host felt the same way because he was like, that's quite enough or whatever. He was just basically like, ooh, stop that while we can.
I was just like, I can't. No.
It was so bad.
Fuck ass dude. But for real though, like I was like, no, you did not get on Blue Ivy's internet with talking about maybe I'll sing to her. Then they tell you to sing, and that's what you came out with.
It's just like, has no one ever in your life just told you the truth and told you can't sing? Who's been lying to you this whole time?
Out here, just embarrassing. Because I literally don't remember anything else about him except he can't sing.
Okay. This is my confession. I had to go look up the cast list to find his name because in the notes, I literally said light-skinned POC cannot sing. That was his descriptor.
Listen,
oh God.
I was like, obviously we don't need to remember all of these men. Cool, but like, don't let that be the way that that was our first impression of him.
Yes.
And it stuck.
It was bad. And then the person next to him was, was my descriptor of him before I found his name, Mr. Cones, but I said a blonde white man who was looking for a hot dog. No, because when he gets into the ball, like he's having the conversation with um Nicole's best friend. I can't remember her name right now. And he's having that conversation with her and the sister. And he's just like,
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
this is a lot. I'm just trying to find a hot dog. I'm just a regular guy. That was
Yeah,
him.
he kept describing himself as the guy next door.
Yes, he describes himself as the guy next door all like multiple times.
Yeah, that was just weird. It was like, baby, no.
But after he comes in, then we have more horseback, men riding up on horseback and in carriages. I remember specifically Mr. Hunter because I thought he was really cute. I was like, oh, he's cute.
Which one's Mr. Hunter? Refresh my memory.
I mean, they didn't really focus on him. He was this white man who was like very tall, broad. He had brown hair. He just seemed he's like Mr. Darcy-esque to me. Like he was very just like, I am a real man. I don't know why I'm on this show, you know? I am a real man. So you have to look up the cast list and
I'm gonna
find
have to
him.
look him up now that you said it, because if you're putting Mr. Darcy titles to him, I need to go see what he looks like.
I was like, oh, he's cute. And then I also thought Captain Kim was cute. I was like, oh, he's adorable. I like him. And we find out that he was a captain in the Air Force, I believe.
Yeah.
So then we have a whole bunch of other men come in, and I don't really keep track of them. There's just like a whole bunch. I just remember they made the black man dance, which don't know how I feel about that.
No, they also made him go up there and embarrass himself with that fake accent, talking about what?
Yeah, no, that was two different black men. That was two different black men. So the first black man they made dance, and then they also made the a white man dance. I can't remember who it was. And then the other black man was the one that they were embarrassing with the accent. So there were two different guys. Yeah, it was awkward. Let's see. Okay, and so then there's this whole montage of Mr. Edwards like quizzing the men, like, how well do you know the era? And do you know how to bow? And how's your calligraphy and all this stuff? And there's like a cute little montage with all this silliness. And that's when the whole like accent humiliation thing happened with the what's up? That was kind of funny though. I'm not gonna lie. I got a chuckle out of it.
I'm not gonna it was funny, but like I was just like, okay. I was like, so basically what you're telling me is they had to prepare for this role.
They had to study.
Yeah, because he was like, how was your calligraphy? How was your dancing? How was your etiquette? Like, how was your... And I'm like, so like, when these men auditioned for the show and they were picked, like, did y'all send them home with the packet?
Look, I knew they must have studied because when they were doing the dances, I was like, there's no way that they just learned that yesterday. There's no way. They had to have studied those dances because those dances are very complex.
But also, I would love to go to a ball or something with those dances. Just
agreed.
That seems like it would be so much fun. But okay, agreed. We've talked about all the men that we can remember.
Yes.
Because now it's time to talk about the outfit that she chose.
Yes.
To be introduced.
Oh my God. So good.
That red dress
was everything.
Was what I was expecting when we first saw her on the screen.
Yeah. Like it was almost like they were saving it for the ball, like the wow factor. Because you're right. When we first saw her, there wasn't really a wow factor to her outfits.
No. And I think that was probably a thing. But also, like, I felt like she knew she looked good.
Yes.
And so it was almost like I was rooting for her because I was like, yes.
Oh my God. That moment where she walks in and everyone is just so entranced by her.
Oh,
and
they looked shooketh. It was great to watch.
It was so nice to watch. Like all the men were just like jaw open. And that's when I realized like they must not have known who the girl was going to be. They had no clue.
Yeah. It's like, so they clearly never saw her.
They've never seen her.
Really, really freaking liked.
Yeah, I liked it too. It's almost like when they put out the casting thing for the show, they were probably just like, hey, we're casting for a new dating show, like men from this age range to this age range, blah, 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 blah. You just apply. And it's like, you don't know at all who the girl is going to be, which, damn, I cannot imagine going on a dating show just randomly for some random dude that I don't even know who it's going to be.
Right. But they were all very happy.
extremely happy when she
It
came out.
was like every time they zoomed in on a face, all their faces were like, "Hey,
I know.
hey, Miss Remy."
It went from like, oh, okay, we're here to like, oh, okay, we're here. Yes, I can't wait
Yes,
to talk to her.
all of them were like, "Game time, game time."
Oh my gosh, the moment where the two black men were in
Oh
the
my,
corner.
and they were like, "Oh,
Yes.
bruh, I was not expecting that. Me neither, bruh." And she a
Yes.
sister, come through. I was like,
Okay. They were so excited.
but that's how I knew that they knew nothing about who they were going to be courting.
They knew absolutely nothing. So that was very refreshing. And I really liked how her court / her family and bestie got a chance to like mingle with the men before she showed up, and they got to talk to them and meet them and kind of get like the lay of the land on who these men were so that they could give her their opinions. I actually like that.
I think because it fits the Regency era type thing.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like if her parents were the rich type parents, they would be throwing balls and
Yes.
would be sending out the invitations to
Yes.
specifically say who would be interacting with their daughters. So I thought that that was a really nice touch. I also like the fact that it was very clear to the suitors that they had to get on the good side
Yes.
of her family first. Like they knew from the jump they had power. And I
Yes.
was just like, I think one, her parents are just so graceful.
Very.
Because I don't know if they didn't like anybody because their facial expressions never showed it.
You would never be able to tell,
Yeah.
which is so interesting because I felt like the one moment where they probably were like, huh, was Dr. Shanzer.
We're back to the doctor.
Well, he was just constantly saying that he was a doctor. Like
Okay,
when
so
he met her mom.
This is gonna sound so bad.
Oh my gosh.
Because he's the anesthesiologist, right?
Yes.
Okay. Every single time there is a anesthesiologist on any sitcom, TV show, I'm thinking back to Living Single when Khadijah was dating the one anesthesiologist.
Yes.
All of them are extremely cocky.
I knew you were going to say that because it's true.
All of them are like very like extroverted and like
very
unnecessary, and like all of them always rub you the wrong way.
Yes.
Every single time. So when he started talking, and he's like, "Oh, I'm," because they have to be by their formal titles. He's like, "Oh, I'm Doctor Da Da Da," and the mom's like, "Oh, I'm a doctor too. What do you practice?" And he's like, "I'm an anesthesiologist." I was like, again, not knocking your hustle because yes, great, but like, bro, why are you like? Can we get a serious note from you for 2 seconds?
He was a lot. Like, even when he interrupted her, she was talking to somebody else and he interrupted her and he was like, "An apple a day keeps a doctor away unless you don't want him to stay away." And I was like,
why did you feel like you needed a gimmick?
I was like, what is going on? Like,
her face was like, what is going on?
And she was like, "Oh, okay, you're a doctor. Like, okay, whoop-de-doo, sir. Like, what do you think that's gonna impress me?"
There was like genuine, like, "Hi, nice to meet you." Like, there was a lift to her voice when she was greeting everybody else, and then with him it was, "Oh, okay."
Yep. And can we talk about when her family chose the 6 men for the fireside date, and he was like, "I just feel like me and your mom would really get along too. We'd never run out of things to talk about, both being doctors and all." Just like,
oh my God. That's what I was about to say. I was like, and then also, I feel like, and this is just me, I feel like her family, her court picked the guys that she was already saying no to, that they figured she was going to say no to.
I think so too.
And that she needed more time to pick which ones were actually going home.
I agree.
Because majority of the men that went on that date
ended up in the bottom. Yeah, they ended up in the bottom 6. Absolutely. It was like Captain Kim, Dr. Shanzer,
content creator,
Mr. Ward, that was his name. And then some other guys that I can't remember obviously for good reason. But yeah, they were in the bottom as well when we got to the end of the episode. But we're jumping ahead. I do like that she got to have a moment with Mr. Cones when he said, "Come find me by my cologne." And she got to chat with him and talk about how much his letter really, like how much she enjoyed his letter, and they got to laugh. I thought that was a nice, cute little moment.
Oh yeah, that part was really cute. I was like, again, I think you match. Thank you for coming with the same energy that your letter came with.
Yes, I love it. And then we find out from one of the men, because he's the man from New York, Daniel Butch. How do you say his last name? It's like
Cannot pronounce that for the life of me.
book.
Sorry.
I don't know how to pronounce it, and I don't want to butcher it.
Yeah,
But
I'll try next week.
right, his first name is Daniel, and I just remember he mentioned being from New York like a few times.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, sir. But yeah, he mentioned how he finally like put a pinpoint to where we were. He was like, oh yeah, this is so different from New York. This is
Oh yeah,
not
because
New
he was
York,
like,
this is
I'm in
York.
New York, or
This is
I'm from New York, and now I'm in Old York.
Yes.
And I was like, oh okay, so they're in York.
Yeah, no, I was like, okay, good. But and then we met like a couple of the guys when she was just talking to them. I found it interesting that her sister, like when she went up to her sister and her best friend, and she was like, okay, you've had a chance to meet the guys before I got here, like, and they were like, oh yeah, we have our favorites. And then her sister immediately introduces her to somebody, and I cannot remember his name for the life of me.
Chapman.
Okay, he was a cutie.
Because I remember him because of his cheekbones and his jawline. It was beautiful features.
Yeah, he's a cutie, and he seems like very into her, because even in the confessionals, he was like, I cannot wait to talk to her. I really want to get to know her. I don't know if that's like obsession creepy or...
That's the problem. In my notes, I said Mr. Chapman gives me you vibes.
Yeah, because he was just like, oh my gosh, yes, I can't wait to meet her. And I was like, oh, okay. But he's very attractive, so I don't know. She might like it. Oh, but I'm gonna try to say his name, Mr. Daniel Bocchicchio. Bocchicchio? Oh, I'm gonna struggle, but he's Italian.
Mess up that name. I just remember it was Italian. There was one Italian dude, but
Giuseppe.
then there was another one. Yeah, Giuseppe.
He was a sweetie.
He came in, said what he needed to say, and dipped. I wrote in my notes, I appreciate him.
But she seems so overly impressed by his Italian. Like, she was basically like swooning, and I was like, you've never heard someone speak Italian?
I need her to stop acting like she's never left the States.
She was like, oh my God.
Like, ma'am, that was some very basic Italian, and you are about to just like swoon out.
Yeah, he was basically just like, it's nice to meet you. Like, you look beautiful. And she was like, oh my God. I was like, okay.
Baby girl, stop embarrassing. Stop.
Calm down, please.
It's like, ma'am, stop acting like you ain't never been nowhere.
Yes. Stop. Oh my gosh. Can we talk about the one Black man she talked to, at least that we saw her talking to for a long period of time, that was talking about how she would always be smiling when he was
with him.
That was really sweet. I really liked that moment. That felt very like
showed his whole personality from the jump. So there was no confusion. It's very clear he's very extroverted and very silly.
Yes. And I feel like that was a cute moment. I just don't know if she was interested in him. Like, I couldn't tell by her body language if she was into it.
That was the other thing. I could not tell. Like, I knew certain men she was very much into, but the ones that were like giving her like full attention, but like seemed like they were being themselves, she wasn't really responding to them very well.
Okay. So now this brings us to when Mr. Edwards says, okay, now you get to choose somebody to take on a special little date. And she chooses Mr. Daniel Bocchicchio.
Yeah.
And I'm shook because I'm just like, when did they connect? Like, did I miss this moment? Like, I'm literally like rewinding, like, wait, did I miss?
In my notes, I wrote, where did he come from?
Yeah. I mean, I know they met. They had like an initial meeting, and it was so interesting because when I watched it back the second time, I did see that they were kind of like staring into each other's eyes.
When
they initially met, it was very, very quick and brief. So I was just like, okay, well, maybe that was because remember when she chose him and she took him outside, and it's like it's on the grounds and it's nighttime and there are these candelabras everywhere, and it's in like a nice little like couch, not a full couch, but one of those, like, I can't remember what they're called, but one of those half couches.
Like
That
the
are-
futon kind of thing. It was a chair. It was a very nice couch
a
sitting.
chase.
Chase. There we go.
So it was one of those, and it was like pillows everywhere, very beautiful, like candlelight, like very romantic. And she tells him that she chose him because of his like the eye contact that they had and how she felt like connected to him because of that. And I was like, okay. What were your impressions of him?
None, because I didn't pay attention to him until that moment.
Well, like I just remember he started telling this story about how he was a real estate agent and like he wanted to wear his outfit and take photos. It was really convoluted and
I
weird.
just didn't understand.
And then he like stopped telling the story in the middle and was like, and he's like, let's have some champagne. I'm like,
Right. And then he was like, I'm very nervous. And I was just like, I just want to know, like, you go on a one-on-one date with this girl to tell her that you want to wear this costume for a commercial.
Right. I was just like, where is this going? And then he gets nervous. They have a drink and they cheers. And then he finally admits, like, I'm super nervous. And she's just like, oh, it's okay. Like, just be yourself.
Like, so enamored by the fact that he's nervous. It was really weird. I didn't like that part of it.
She was like, that's so cute. Oh, my God.
I was like, he is not a puppy at a bookstore, sis. Calm down.
I think she took it as, like, a compliment. Like, oh, he's nervous to be around me. And I took it more of, like, okay, he's on TV. There's probably cameras everywhere. There's lights burning down on him. He doesn't know this girl.
She took it like a very, like, personal thing. And I was like, I feel like he's just nervous to be on TV.
Yeah, he doesn't know this girl. Now the spotlight's on him and he has to impress her. And there's probably so much going through his mind. But I do think he gives good eye contact because he was staring in her eyes the whole time. And I was like, that's what you do.
If she chose him based on the eye contact and the way that he casually would like grab her hand, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I can't argue that. I can't be mad at that. If that's the vibe, like if you got that kind of vibe, then cool. He's not my cup of tea in any shape, form, or fashion. So obviously I don't have anything to say.
Well, I just couldn't really see the spark the first time I watched it. The second time I saw more of like, okay, it's definitely the eye contact. The fact that he's staring into her eyes is what has really captured her. And I was like, okay.
Yeah. But then also, can we just talk about the fact that we're American and we see fireworks all the time, and that should not have been as, oh my God, this is so romantic. And it was like, I'm sure to us, because we're watching it on TV where they have the beautiful music.
No, it's still not. Because
I'm sure that's where somebody could say it was, but I don't understand how they were just like, oh my gosh, it's so romantic. And it turned into that weird, forced, supposedly romantic looking kiss.
Oh my God. I personally felt the same way. And it happens on all the dating shows. Like every time I watch anything in the Bachelor franchise and there's like fireworks during a date, they're always like, oh my God, this is so romantic. This is amazing. And then you can see all the other people watching from like the mansion, like, I can't believe this. I'm so jealous. They get fireworks. And the same thing happened on this show. And I was just like, fireworks are not that like out of the norm.
Anybody kissed under fireworks in real life?
No. They're loud, they're going off. You're like, ooh.
Okay. Wow. I'm like, maybe I'm missing something here, but like fireworks don't seem romantic to me at all. Like fireworks usually makes me think of like family and friends and chilling.
Yes. You're like looking up to see if they're going to make any interesting shapes or anything, or if they're just going to be boring fireworks. You're not necessarily
I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry, Delighted. Even over a palace, I saw them go over the palace at Disney World.
I was about to say Disney. Like, no, look, if you take away the romantic swelling music, it is kind of funny to think about them just kissing with these like loud.
They don't have the music that we have while we're watching it. It's just them out there in the quiet.
And then it's like pow, 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 and they're like, perfect moment to kiss.
Yeah, it's just like pew, pew. I'm like, I just want to like. This is how I envision it. Imagine you sitting out in this wide open yard,
right?
Quiet. The only voices you hear are you and him.
And the producers.
The breathing of the camera people because they're there too. then you hear the fireworks.
It's not
Okay. I
romantic.
guess that's romantic. I don't know.
It's not. I would not. I would be like, oh wow, look, okay. But it almost seemed like with Daniel and Nicole, sorry, I know I'm using their first names, very unregency of me. But it seems like their connection was more of like chemistry. Because you know how sometimes you just feel something with somebody and you don't even necessarily have anything in common or anything to say with them. It's just a vibe.
I guess.
You're like, still don't see it. But that's kind of what I saw like the second time around watching it. Like, especially because they're literally just staring at each other. Like, they clearly have no conversation. He's too nervous to actually say anything coherent. She's barely able to string any words together. So I was just like, okay, it must just be the chemistry because they don't really have much to say to one another.
I was just like, again, obviously I don't watch these shows. This is my first one I'm ever watching voluntarily.
I'm dead,
and
not voluntarily.
Still like, I don't understand. I don't understand.
Yeah.
Not getting it. Not getting the vibes at all.
I mean, the first time around, I didn't get it, but the second time I could kind of see with the physical touch and the staring. But so we move past that and we get to elimination time.
Listen, yes. I will say this whole dance for your life thing is really giving me so you think you can dance.
It was so funny. I was like, I don't know who thought of this. I don't think they realized how it comes off.
It is so.
It's I'm not giving what they thought.
Hear the anticipation music.
It's not giving, and then they're like furtively like whispered conversations as they're dancing, like
whispered, almost out of breath conversations.
Like, I really need you to show me.
I really want to hear what you have to say, but I just want to hear who you are. And I'm like,
no. So at first, when they start, okay. So let's backtrack. So Mr. Edwards comes and he's like, hey, it's time for, she goes upstairs to a room and she has her dance card or whatever it is. Dance fan. I can't remember what it is. Dance card. It's shaped like a fan. But she gets to write down the 6 names of the men who are like basically in the bottom, and then 3 men are getting sent home. Then she comes back down and Mr. Edwards is like, telling them the bad news because all the men are gathered there. And then she hands him the fan and he reads out the names and there's supposed to be like this dance. And at first it opens up. He's like, she will go and choose who to dance with first or whatever. And it's like a montage at first of just like her dancing with all the men. And it's very serious and the music is very suspenseful.
Like, I'm trying not to laugh. And I'm just like, so let me get this straight. Did she dance with each one of them one at a time and then dismiss each one of it's just the weirdest.
It's so weird. I think it was the way it was.
Tell you when we're dancing if you've already made up your mind to send me home.
But that's the thing. Like I think it was proven with Mr. or Dr. Shanzer that they can't change her mind, right? She's already chosen who she's sending home. And so it's more for the production value and our entertainment than it really is for her.
That mess had me dying. I was like, this is not going the way that y'all thought it was going to go, because this is not working for me. For example, when she had content creator.
Yes, Mr. Ward. You can never remember his name.
I can't remember his name, but she said, I want to make sure that you're actually here for me. And I want to know if you're serious. And his response to her was, I don't really take life seriously. Sir, do you want to be here or not?
I honestly don't think he did, because there were several moments that kind of clued me into the fact that he didn't want to really be there. Because the first moment was when in the very beginning of the ball, when he was in a group talking to her sister and her best friend, and he said, oh, this Regency thing is cool and everything, but you got to break it eventually. I was like, sir, you're on the wrong show, because you're not going to be able to break it at all.
Right. That was really weird for me too. I was like, so like you just came in here thinking that they weren't serious. You showed up in tights, my guy, and you didn't think they were serious.
Oh my God. And then the second moment was when he was like in his little confessional interview and he was like, I don't know, like dating a girl with 16 other guys. He was like, this never, I don't remember what he said, but it was to the effects of like, about this. And then when he was eliminated, he was like, basically like celebrating. He was basically like, yeah, this Regency dating thing's not for me, so it's probably for the best. I was like,
I
you
mean,
did not
on
want to be
one
there.
hand, it's like, you know, I totally agree with him. Like,
Yes,
if it were me, I wouldn't be doing that either. That's not my thing. But like, this is what you signed up for.
it is. It's what you signed up for. Also, can we talk about how well her family knows her? Because when she danced with Mr. Lux, they were all like, I will be shocked if she sends him home. I was like, what?
Bro, first of all, and I say this as just something I've learned as I'm getting older. If your whole family agrees on a guy,
They all, like, even the mom and dad were like, oh no, I hope he has a chance
mom,
still.
dad, sister, all of them were like, he has to stay.
It was so
And
weird.
like, what type of conversation did y'all have with him
Right.
to automatically say he has to stay? Like, I want to know what y'all saw, because clearly with the editing, I didn't see it.
I think it was a combination of they know her type, because her sister was literally like, oh, I'll be very surprised if she sends him home. Like, so he must be along the lines of what she typically dates or what she's dated in the past. And I think they're just all on that same wavelength, because they were just like, yeah, like that would be weird if she sent him home. And I'm just like thinking to myself, okay, well, is this her type? Like, what
That's
is
what I
this
was
what
saying. I was like,
she
is this her type physically, or is this her type mentally? Because she jumped straight from the jump, like, obviously I'm attracted to you. And it was like, is it obvious? I didn't know that.
We did not see you talking to that man, not one
I
time.
mean, girl, you beelined it to a whole other group of dudes. You didn't beeline it to him ever.
Nope.
So, and that was another thing I wrote in my thing. So, what did I write? Hold on. Mr. Lux, she told him what she needs from him. She wants to see more of his personality. She
Yes.
wants to see like him be more open about his feelings and
Yes.
all that stuff. And in his little box thing, he said, I'm gonna continue doing what I'm doing.
Yes, he did. Oh my God, he did. I remember that.
Are we having another red flags show?
I remember. And I was like, ooh.
She
okay.
literally said, this is what I want from you. This is what I need to see from you.
That was the problem.
I can do it, and then get in the confessional like, I'm gonna continue to do the same thing I've been doing. My guy.
And then he was like, because it's genuine. And I was like, this is not gonna go well.
I was like, so basically you said you can't listen. Got it.
And then can we talk about how she sent home Mr. E? I called him Mr. E because his name is hard for me to say.
Mr. Ichivadia? I wrote the phonetics. Hold on.
That was so sad.
First of all, I commend her. Because sometimes as women, even when we don't really think that they're for us, because they're super nice, sometimes we string them along.
Yeah.
Because they're super nice.
He was a sweetheart.
He was so sweet and respectful and
he was just lovely. And it was so sad because he really does wear his heart on his sleeve, because he was crying in his exit.
I was not ready. I was like, whoa.
He was so sad. And I was just like, oh my gosh. I wish she had felt it for him, because they would have been cute together. That was sad.
Yeah. I felt like, okay, like she said she didn't, but also like there was no connection between them.
There wasn't at all.
Obvious.
Can we talk about how it came down to Mr. Safa and Dr. Shanzer? And it was literally like a dance to the death is what they called it, I think.
But also how Mr. Safa couldn't dance, so he stopped midway.
He did, because he can't dance. And I think, honestly, I think he forgot the moves, because they clearly practiced these moves.
He said that he's not a good dancer and that he couldn't dance because he was so nervous.
Oh my God.
And it was like, that sounds about right.
You know what, though? That was the first moment that we actually saw him like for who he is, his genuine personality. Because the whole time he was all like braggadocious and like, yeah, I've got it. Like no guy has anything on me.
I've got the jawline, the
hair.
Oh, God. I was like, douchebag.
That was the first moment where he actually showed his true self and how like he really wanted to be there and how he actually really truly liked her. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, because on the opposing side of that,
Girl, Dr. Shanzer took me out in this moment.
first of all,
Oh my God.
the way that he pulled out that rose quartz
so quick. I was like, where was that hiding? Like, what?
The way I hollered, the scream I scrumped.
The fact that he had the audacity to say that it was to help her decision making. The audacity of you!
I was like, first of all, you rode up in here with an apple first. Weird. Second of all, you talked about how great you would have a connection to her mother. Second. But while she's talking, you decide to cut her off to give her a rose quartz necklace.
Did you see her face? She was like, because she was literally in the middle of, okay, so he did something that's very typical of people who are, and I know it's very popular these days to call everyone a narcissist, but that's honestly the only word I could think of where it's like, he's clearly been so full of himself. And she even told him, she was like, I like confidence. Don't get me wrong. It's very attractive. She's like, but it can be too much. And I think she was being nice because she could have called him cocky, but she didn't.
She didn't, but she said the truth.
And even after she said all that, then he decides, he like totally became a different person. And he started speaking, like quoting Jane Austen quotes and being like, oh, you know, and it's like if a switch flipped and he went from like this cocky over the top, like I'm a doctor, to like, I'm going to woo you with my Jane Austen knowledge.
He was like, what? I'm sorry for the facade that I had on the whole time.
Yes, and you're just like,
down like a loving, caring, super nice guy. And I'm like, but wait a minute.
But sir, like the way he switched so quick though, even his voice changed and his tone,
voice changed and everything.
I was like, who are you? And then that's when she was like, I'm just not here. I'm just not sure that you're here for the right reason.
It was not for her. And I scrumped again.
Well, she called him out. She was like, when he flipped like that and completely changed into a different human being, she was just like, I'm just not sure you're here for the right reasons. Like, why are you this way, one way? And then when you're about to be eliminated, you become a different person. And then when it looks like that's not working, you present me with a gift, like manipulation 101 tactics.
It was
like
pure manipulation. But the part that sent me, when she told, like, she literally like grabbed his hand and did that little pat, like, we're done.
Yes.
And how he switched right back to who he was originally.
So quick. And he was just like, first of all, he kept pushing and pushing. He would not take it because she was so respectful and so nice. She was like, I'm so sorry, but it's just not for me. And he was like, what do you mean? We need more.
She was like, we don't have enough time. And I was like, girl, look at you trying to tell him all the nice ways of no. And
she was being so nice.
To accept your no.
She was being so nice because she literally could just been like, I just don't like you. I'm not into it. But she was trying to be kind and he just kept getting like more and more pushy. And then finally he was like, you're going to regret this. And even her family was like,
making a big mistake. Stomp, 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 stomp.
Her family must have heard him. They must have heard him because did you see their faces after he said that?
The sister was like, oh, did he just... The sister was watching, like, that was a whole moment for me because I was like, this man done switched to 3 different personalities during this one dance. Like, this was one dance, but
he was a lot. I mean, since when do men think just being a doctor is enough? Like,
bruh, plenty of them do, and he's obviously one of those who thinks that all he needed to do was talk about being a doctor.
I was like, nobody cares, and even her reaction, she was like, okay, like, okay, what more do you have to offer, sir? Ooh, that was a mess.
That was funny.
But that's what I mean by she's clearly very smart, despite how she may come off, because she saw right through him. She was like,
yeah. No. I mean, again, I appreciated it. It gave me something. But here's my question.
Ooh, okay.
Who do you think is next on the chopping block?
Oh, that's hard. Because we don't know the men well enough.
We might as well end this with predictions.
I don't know. I feel like we don't know the men well enough, but I will say that I think that Daniel is a front runner.
Which one
just
is Daniel?
Based off, Daniel is the one I can't say his
Oh
last name.
yeah, the date.
He's definitely a front runner, just based off. I think Mr. Combs is a front runner because of how she reacted to his letter.
Yep.
I wanna say Mr. Lux, but I don't know because he's saying he's gonna keep doing what he's doing, so I don't know. They might end up bumping heads at some point. But right now, my front runners are Mr. Cones, Daniel B. I'm just gonna call him Daniel B until I learn how to say his name. I also think that the one that really, really likes her, Mr. Chapman,
Yep.
I wouldn't call him a front runner per se. We haven't seen enough, but I'm going to give him a chance. And I also think that she likes the personal trainer guy. I don't know why, Mr. Safa.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say Mr. Safa
She
because
seems to really like him.
he's clearly very into him.
Oh, and the guy with the accent, the guy who's actually British.
Oh yeah, she about lost her mind when she realized that accent was real.
Right. So those for now. I haven't really seen her interact a lot with the men of color, so I'm waiting to see those interactions a little bit more.
I'm wondering if they're just there to claim the diversity like they are on most other shows, and that's all I'm gonna say to that for now.
The way you said that, I feel like some of them are. Like, for example, Mr. King, that was the guy who had the whole bit with the water.
Yeah.
I don't think that he's really her type.
Nope.
I think her type is more on the Mr. Lux side. I even think that she would even go for Mr. Holland. Mr. Jaquan Holland.
Yeah.
He's very dashing, chocolate man. So I think that would even be more her speed too. But yeah, but I mean, only time will tell.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm gonna finish this out with y'all.
And so we've gone from 16 men to 13. And going into next week, things apparently are just going to get more interesting because they did a little promo for the rest of the season.
Yeah. And I think this will just be fun conversation. Deja said, I hope not the personal trainer guy, but I like Cones and the British guy, maybe even the captain.
I love the captain. I just don't think she's attracted to him.
Yeah, I'm about to say, I like the captain, but I think that he's going to be around for drama and drama only.
Yes, I agree.
Because they need it for the show, but I don't think she's really into him.
She did not seem into him whatsoever, so we shall see. I feel like he was a producer pick. Like, they were like, please keep him.
Military, Asian, they're hitting all the marks with that. So
yeah, he's from, I think it said he was from
Korea.
South Korea. Yep. So they're definitely keeping him.
Yeah.
Well, that was our very first podcast recap of the Courtship episode 1, First Impressions. And now that we've kind of laid the groundwork, introduced the characters, moving forward, our recaps are going to be less recaps and more discussions.
Yep.
That's just where we shine best. I feel like there are a lot of great podcasts that do recaps, like moment by moment recaps, but I feel like where we really shine is in the discussion part.
I agree. Plus, we always have a lot to say. And so it's just easier to do like full blown, oh my gosh, how did you feel about that?
Yes.
Oh, also, this is serious because we've seen this on every single trailer.
Oh my gosh, yes.
The guy that she spent the night with, that captain just threw all the way under the bus.
I mean, he put her business out there.
Whole out there. And then I'm very excited. That was my question. I was like, so like spent the night in the castle?
Right.
And then like Regency era, that's totally improper.
Yeah, that's not allowed. Like, they were getting it in, but they were getting it in secret.
Right. So it's like he out here snitching.
A whole snitch.
I want to know.
Well, thank you so much for coming to our very first episode. Don't forget to give this live a like. That really does help us out. Share it if you care. You can share it on Twitter. And you can meet us back here next week, same day, on another Thursday, same time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we will be discussing episode 2.
And if this isn't your cup of tea, you can always come back on Monday at 7 p.m. where we're going to be talking about our regular scheduled content.
Yes, and this one is going to be a good one because we're
Yep.
discussing Black love, and I cannot wait.
And the crappy definitions that the world is trying to bring on it.
I was just waiting for you to have something more to add. Oh my God. I was like, oh no, Brittany's going to say something. Okay. So that's it for tonight's episode. We don't want to keep you all too long, and we will see you all on Monday.
Bye.
Bye.